In the headlines, building collapses in Kubwa, Abuja, rescue operations ongoing. Bandits kill 2 soldiers in Zamfara. U.S. court confirms hush puppy sentencing date, keeps mom on Carrie's extradition. And on the foreign scene, flood kills over 180 Taliban in Afghanistan. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. A building under construction in the Kubwa axis of Abuja collapsed on Thursday. Residents of Kubwa village who witnessed the collapse explained that they had to dig through the rubble to rescue some victims. About 5 people have been rescued with no deaths recorded. Emergency agencies are already on ground and efforts are on to rescue the rest of the victims.
So that our parents have been looking down our cars and slowly like taking down neighbors. In fact, we only had 3 survivors. In the night, then by 4 this morning, we had to rescue another person that was shouting. As of now, we have 2 more inside. We just hope that it doesn't have to be okay. People are still looking for them. But we just thank God that nothing really happened. We didn't laugh. Just
we dig for 6 hours for our to save 1 soul. 5 of injured. 5 of injured. And we dig one on our hand till 5:30. All that I say about now.
And to politics now, where the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has met with Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. The meeting took place in the United Kingdom, but at the time of filing this report, details of the meeting have not been officially disclosed. However, it is believed that it has to do with the 2023 general elections. The House of Representatives has summoned the Auditor General of the Federation to appear before it on August 30th for an explanation on fuel subsidy payments between 2013 and 2022. The Auditor General is expected to provide documentary evidences on the audit carried out on the monies spent on fuel subsidy by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Chairman of the Special Ad Hoc Committee investigating the fuel subsidy, Ibrahim Aliyu, issued the notice on Thursday. The chairman made this known during the scrutiny of documents submitted by the representative of the Accountant General of the Federation, Okoli Abu Sylvia, who was represented by the Director of Federation Accounts. The lawmakers also directed the Office of the Auditor General to provide relevant financial transactions on the fuel subsidy for the period under review. In its bid to ensure a fair hearing as enshrined in the law, the committee said it was expecting the Auditor General to appear before it on September 8th with relevant documents. The committee tasked the office on the need to have an independent monitoring mechanism to verify the veracity of the transactions. The committee also expressed the need for the Office of the Auditor General to ensure due diligence by verifying the transaction documents submitted by all government agencies in line with its functions as spelt out in the Act. And security matters now, where bandits on Wednesday lay ambush for soldiers in Bunguti local government area of Zamfara State, killing 3. According to eyewitnesses, reports that the armed men ambushed the vehicle of the troops while on their way to repel attacks in some communities in Katsina State. The report further said several gunmen were killed in a crossfire which forced the assailants to retreat. The spokesman of the military in the state, Captain Ibrahim Yahya, could not be reached for comment as at the time of filing this report. The United States Attorney's Office for Central District of California, Los Angeles, says the September 21st to 2022 sentence date for alleged international internet fraudster Ramon Abbas, aka Hush Puppy, remains unchanged. The court's director of media relations, Tom Rozek, made this known on Friday in response to an email inquiry by Channels Television. Since Hush Puppy's conviction last year for alleged $1.1 million fraud, the court has moved his sentence date at least 3 times. Hush Puppy was initially scheduled for sentencing on February 14th, but it was moved to July 11th before it was again postponed to September 21st this year. Hush Puppy had entered a plea bargain and pleaded guilty to charges including money laundering, wire fraud, among others, brought against him by the court. According to court documents, he risks 20 years imprisonment, a 3-year period of supervised release, a fine of $500,000 or twice the gross gain or gross loss resulting from the offense. He was arrested in Dubai in June 2020 alongside 12 others and extradited to the United States for prosecution. And with the influx of people into the Federal Capital Territory as a result of urbanization, pedestrian bridges have become a necessity to reduce the rate of pedestrian-related accidents and ease intracity shuttle. In this report, Noel Sampson looks at the menace associated with these bridges, especially at night, despite their importance.
Pedestrian bridges are structures built over railway, river, or road to enable people or vehicles cross from one side to the other. This function of theirs, especially on highways, have reduced fatal accidents on the roads. Hence, the government deems it necessary to have them in busy roads within the city. Despite their significances, the bridges have unfortunately become an ambush point for criminals who rob unsuspecting users, especially at night.
The pedestrian have been useful seriously. Sometimes when I'm coming, I used to mix of it, but in the afternoon it's okay. But towards evening time, it's very dangerous, seriously. I've been hearing it, but one of my friends that it didn't happen to, that's when I believe that it happens to me.
Yeah, though we are hearing instances where some persons are being robbed at night, maybe when it is extremely too late, but I have not fallen victim of it anyway. But I've heard stories, instances where a good number of persons have been robbed, attacked. The essence of pedestrian bridges is something we cannot overemphasize. It's very important. Yeah, it helps to actually reduce the accidents on the road, pedestrians being knocked down on the road by cars.
Also, citizens without proper toileting systems in their houses defecate openly at the foot of these bridges.
Of course, yeah. A good number of persons. In fact, you see feces on the pedestrian bridges and you'll be wondering who must have done that.
Users who suggest ways for making the bridges safer at night are hopeful that government will act accordingly.
I think they can just have maybe security men around here. Maybe they can just park here so that at least people can have that safety at heart, that okay, using this pedestrian is safe, just like they do in other places.
The only thing that I would say they can do is maybe they should just be bringing their monitoring units. Should always be staying around.
Government can help us so that we can post all security around the places so that we will be okay.
Irrespective of the dangers encountered by the users of these bridges, they remain important for daily commuting. Hence, the need for government to address challenges around their safe usage. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And commuters flying the Paria-Wuro-Oki Road, one of the oldest roads that links Adamawa State with the Republic of Cameroon, have called for the rehabilitation and construction of the abandoned and dilapidated road. According to the commuters, the road was dilapidated for decades, affecting agricultural production and other commercial activities capable of boosting revenue generation in the state. Silas Lawan has details.
The Paria-Wuro-Oki Road is one of the oldest roads that linked Adamawa State with the Republic of Cameroon. some motorists plying the 52-kilometer Gire-Paria-Wurok-Okke road explained that the road has become a death trap, causing accident due to its bad nature. They also highlighted how the abandoned and dilapidated road is critically affecting business activities, especially in terms of transporting of commodities to market.
Sometimes we find it difficult to take people to the hospital from Paria to the town due to the bad nature of the road. As drivers who ply this road always, we are pleading with the government to come to our rescue and rehabilitate the road.
You have seen how the nature of the road is. These days, the culverts have drained and washed away after a heavy downpour. During rainy season, we find it difficult to access the road from Paria to Wurok-Okke and Gire communities. Stakeholders believe if reconstructed, Gire-Paria-Wurok-Okke road will not only boost the economic fortunes of the border community, but also reduce criminal activities.
The road has totally blocked. As you can see, over 50 of our vehicles are parked due to the bad nature of the road because we find it difficult to drive to any locality. We are stranded because we no longer transport goods and commodities to markets. Therefore, we are appealing with the government to do the needful and rehabilitate the road.
Reconstructing the road, they said, will be game changer for commuters. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, has said that security challenges in the country are stretching the resources of the armed forces to its limit. General Irabo spoke at the lecture series of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos.
According to Irabo, the military is currently conducting multiple internal security operations in all the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, in a bid to restore order and manage security situations in the country.
These asymmetric security challenges are aided in very large measure by the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, and the emergence of groups that engage in banditry, kidnapping, political violence, and other mafia-style violent activities.
He, however, maintained that no inch of the country is under the terrorist control, stressing that the armed forces will provide the needed security to ensure that elections hold in all parts of Nigeria in 2023.
There is no local government that is still under the hold of the criminals. So, but then you still have some of those criminals who run around from one place to the other. So what we did was to root them out. But Sambisa still remains a forest, still remains an enclave. It's not inhabited. We are not there every now and then, but of course once in a while we return to see if those who have routed from there have returned, and that's precisely what we did.
The chairman of the lecture series and former Minister of Health, Julius Adeloso Adeleye, called for appropriate response to address the issues.
What is happening in Nigeria is not new. It is happening elsewhere. It's what you do about it that matters. Those of you who are research-driven, try and look for the Daily Times of Nigeria on Tuesday, April 8, 1969. The very full page of it has a banner information saying bandits kidnap Abeokuta trader. So there was banditry to them and there was kidnapping.
The Director General of the Institute, Professor Ehosa Osaye, said the foremost research and advisory think tank on foreign policy and international affairs is committed to partner with relevant agencies to address the security challenges in the country.
There are many ways that we can approach the responses that we give, but the key one is to see how we can domesticate some of those things because, as they say, prevention is key to defense.
A former Minister of External Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akeyemi, said the media has a role to play in addressing the security challenges in the country.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still to come on the news, why Nigerians should stay away from Northern Cyprus. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's recap our top stories. Building collapses in Kubwa, Abuja, rescue operations ongoing. And bandits kill 2 soldiers in Zamfara. And moving on to other news now, the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, on Friday said the proposed inter-basin water transfer from Congo River into the Lake Chad is possible, expensive, and would require more consultations. The minister said at a media forum with the theme Engage, Educate and Empower Nigerians on the legacy project of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. The minister said massive interventions ongoing in the basin have been largely impacted by effects of climate change, adding that about 40 million people depend on the natural resources of Lake Chad. He said Nigeria is currently working to improve the hydrolicity of River Chari and Logoni through dredging and improvement of the river banks. In 2017, the federal government successfully conducted a feasibility study towards recharging the Lake Chad through an inter-basin water transfer from the Congo Basin at an estimated cost of $15 billion. This is a part of the project's envisioned to transform the region into a more stable economic hub as the counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations against Boko Haram in the northeast draw to a close. A 5-day National Council on Works meeting has ended in Kano State, with the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, saying that the federal government is making concerted efforts to ensure that all road projects across the country are completed in no distant time. His ministry has pledged completion of all infrastructure projects before the end of the Buhari administration. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril was there and now reports.
These are representatives of various ministries of works across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, meeting for the 28th time to deliberate on the challenges and prospect of various government projects, with particular reference to roads construction across the country.
The themes of this year's event tag infrastructure, the season of completion is quite relevant to the prevailing situation as Nigeria is presently heading to yet another end of political dispensation in the year 2023.
Chairing the council meeting is the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who confirmed the federal government commitment in executing developmental projects across the country.
You can see what we did in 2017, 482 kilometers of road with the Sukuk, 100 billion naira. In 2018, 642 kilometers with the Sukuk, and 757 kilometers in 2020 with the Sukuk. And we are still moving on with the 2021 Sukuk. And I'm sure that across the 36 states and the FCT, when you drive around, you will see signs of the Sukuk working in your states.
For Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, the choice of Kano to host the 2022 National Council meeting on works is not surprise, considering the effort of his government toward providing road infrastructure across the commercial city of Kano. At the end of this meeting, these senior government officials and top politicians are expected to provide answers on how soon various government projects will be completed, and also a blueprint on establishing more infrastructures across the country. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And Nigerians have been advised to avoid traveling to northern Cyprus because of the number of citizens being killed there on a daily basis. Chairperson of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, gave the advice on Thursday while speaking to newsmen at the State House, Abuja, stressing that it was inexcusable for people to be ignorant of the circumstances in the countries they were traveling to. Gende Amodu reports.
The love of Nigerians for travel to explore business opportunities and work takes them to some pretty extreme places. For instance, at the height of the civil war in Libya, Nigerians could be found there, despite the perilous nature of the terrain. The latest no-go area for Nigerians is northern Cyprus, which has not been recognized by the international community as a country, except by Turkey. NIDCOM says there cannot be any diplomatic intervention in northern Cyprus because of the political situation there, and there cannot be any excuse by Nigerians that they are ignorant about the circumstances in the European enclave.
I was surprised that somebody still told me last week that they went to somewhere they didn't know. Look, we have to get over all this trying to hide under we didn't know. Anybody that doesn't know today that if you go to all these countries you get into trouble is pretending not to know. Agents are a problem because some go through agents and, NAPTIP, some are trafficked, but some just want to go. Some will tell you that their destiny is abroad. And I tell them that if it's abroad, you have to go legally, not illegally. May we all achieve our destinies, but go properly because it's getting tougher. Half of the things we see, ask legal, you don't even hear about them.
The NIDCOM chairman also speaks about the way Nigerians speak about their country, because it ultimately makes things difficult for all citizens.
When we go out, even we ourselves, somebody goes on social media, lands another country, lie on the floor, said, I've left the zoo. You see, it's affecting.
And now look at the foreign scene where flooding in Afghanistan this month has killed more than 180 people as torrential rains wrought widespread devastation in central and eastern Afghan provinces. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said at a news conference on Thursday that 182 people had been killed and 250 injured. More than 3,100 houses were destroyed and thousands of livestock were killed, exacerbating the country's economic and humanitarian crisis. Afghanistan has been reeling from natural disasters this year, including drought and an earthquake that killed more than 1,000 people in June. The nation has been largely cut off from the international financial system since the Taliban took over more than a year ago. Global humanitarian agencies have provided assistance for months, but have warned they need more access and funding to avoid humanitarian disasters. And a look at sports now, where Karim Benzema and Alexia Putellas were rewarded for outstanding seasons by winning the UEFA Men's and Women's Player of the Year prizes at a ceremony in Istanbul on Thursday. France striker Benzema captained Real Madrid to victory over Liverpool in the Champions League final and scored 15 goals in the tournament, while Putellas was the top scorer in the Women's Champions League, helping Barcelona reach the final, which they lost to Lyon. Benzema took the men's honours ahead of club teammate Thibaut Courtois and Manchester City midfielder Kevin De Bruyne, succeeding Chelsea midfielder Jorginho, who won the award last year. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.